welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about how I lost 5 pounds in 5 days on the keto diet. I actually have been on keto now for, oh goodness, almost 5 months, and it was October of last year when I started, and I went through a lot of ups and downs with keto, so I wanted to make this video so if somebody is starting off and need to get into ketosis, or if you're trying to break through a plateau that you've been in for a little while, this might actually be a really good alternative to what you've been doing, because I did a 5-day fat fast and it actually worked really, really well for me. And I'm just going to show you what I ate, what my macros look like, and if you want to see how I lost 5 pounds in 5 days, just keep on watching. So before we start this, I just want to give you a little disclaimer. I'm not a nutritionist. I am not a dietitian. This is just what I did for myself, and this is something that I wanted to do because I was trying to break through a plateau that I have been in for about 2 weeks, and it was really annoying me because I track everything. I have it in my macro calculator and everything, so I really make sure that I know exactly what's going in my body, and I was still not losing weight. My fat fast was very regimented, and I was very much a stickler about weighing my food, making sure that I had enough fat that was going into the food I was eating, and I was measuring everything. It was a long process. So I am going to show you my macros and what my macros look like. They were really high in fat. I wanted to stay above 85%. You're going to want to stay up between 80 and 85. Your protein is probably going to be 15% at most, and you want to keep your carbs as low as possible. I really did try to stay under like 5 grams, which is almost impossible, but with the meals that I did, it was easier. And it kind of got a little tedious towards the middle because it was only 5 days. I don't think that you should be on something like this more than 5 days because it's just very repetitive and it is very tedious, but it's a great way to get through that plateau. So first off, I'll show you my coffee. I did a bulletproof coffee in the morning, and what I did was use coconut oil. I usually would do 1 or 2 tablespoons, 1 tablespoon of heavy cream coffee, and a little bit of stevia just to give it a little bit of flavor. I really didn't go overboard with the sugar or the sugar substitute. I really wanted to make sure to keep all of that very, very low, because you only want to take in the least amount of carbs, which I was taking in like 10 to 15, and it was all from vegetables. I wasn't taking in any processed foods that would be keto friendly or anything like that. I didn't do any of that. I made all of my own meals, and I wasn't snacking really in between either. I was trying my best not to snack in between. I know a lot of people say that a lot of small meals throughout the day. What I found is that I could get through until lunchtime without having to eat a mid-afternoon snack. I could actually take my coffee, because I had so much fat in my coffee from the coconut oil, to get me through to lunch. I'd have my coffee around 8:30 in the morning, and then I would have a lunch, and a bigger lunch at 1 o'clock, 1:30, maybe even 2, depending on my clients that were coming in for that particular day. Or if I was at home, I didn't feel like I needed a snack. So what I did for lunch was a couple different things. I would do ground hamburger, and I would put a tablespoon of butter and some cheese on top. And that's a lot of where my carbs were coming from, was dairy and veggies, and that's it. And what I would do is a tablespoon of butter, because I would need more high fat content in the 80-20 ground beef. And again, I did weigh everything so that I only had about 4 ounces of protein. I would have higher fat and 0 carbs. And this is going to be what I did for 5 full days. Also, the only thing that really changed was my evening dinner, because bulletproof coffee was every single morning. My mid-afternoon also did look like a couple of eggs, a tablespoon and a half of butter, or a bratwurst, maybe a half of another one if I was feeling extra hungry. Then I would just throw that in a pan and let it saute in a tablespoon and a half of butter and really just let it all brown up in there, and then I would eat that as a lunch. I love breakfast for dinner. I love breakfast for lunch. I really love breakfast food, period. So it really was easy for me to make sure that I was getting my protein and encompassing the fat, because it's really easy to do that with breakfast food. So for dinner, I would make myself a salmon fillet and I would cut it in half because the salmon fillets that I had bought were really, really big. They were about 8 ounces a piece, and that's way too much protein and not enough fat. Even though they do have good fat in them, they just did not have enough fat. You need to add or incorporate more when you are cooking it. So what I would do is make a half a salmon, and I would put a tablespoon of butter and a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and I would put that in a pan, and I would go ahead and saute my salmon, and then I would do veggies after. Whatever was left in the pan, I would just throw my veggies in there and saute them until they were soft, and I would eat my salmon and my fillet. So I would do that for 5 days, and I broke through my plateau very easily. Again, like I said, it's a little bit tedious. It is very, very time consuming because you are cooking for yourself 3 times a day, but I found that if you were to make a bigger salmon fillet and then eat it a couple of times a week, so making 2 or 3 and then cutting them up and eating them throughout the week, and maybe just adding a tablespoon of butter when you were heating them up, it was a lot easier than making one meal every single time for 30 or 45 minutes trying to make one meal for yourself. I mean, it just depends on your lifestyle, what you do for a job, things like that. That all makes a huge difference when you are trying to lose weight, because if you are very much on a routine, it makes it a lot easier. You know exactly when you're having lunch, you know exactly when you're having dinner, you know when you have to be at work, you know when you get home, things like that. It makes it a lot easier. But because I'm a hairdresser and my schedule changes so often and so much, it's a little bit harder for me because it's, you know, people run over, you need to add extra services onto certain people. It's kind of crazy. So I tried to eat as much in a routine as possible, but it didn't happen all the time. But I did want to share with you what I did to break through that plateau or get in ketosis very quickly. These meals are really easy to make, and they are a little time consuming, but they are worth it because you are getting a very nice keto meal that has high fat in it. If you guys ever have questions about what I eat, or if you want to see a video on like what I eat in a day, I would be happy to do that kind of video as well. Please let me know in the comments below. I am always happy to share about keto because I feel like it does really work, and it's very sustainable. I do have a off menu meal at least once a week, and usually it's like a Saturday night if I'm out with friends. I do track everything I eat during the week, and I make sure that I am very close to my goals, but life isn't perfect and sometimes you can't break through that plateau, but for the most part, this is what I did. I do really hope this was helpful for you. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below. Give this a big thumbs up. If you do want to see another video, let me know. If you have not already, please hit that subscribe button down below and the bell for notifications of upcoming videos, because there is a lot more to come. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.